in Miami. Then Jordan Love signed a big new deal in Green Bay. And now Jerry Jones says it, quote unquote, can happen, that he'll give Dak Prescott a big new extension, but that it, quote unquote, changes every day. And that, quote, I want to see that he's best with that Cowboy star, unquote. Keyshawn, you text trolled me about Tua and Jordan Love deals on Friday. So I want you to go deeper now on how those deals impact the Dallas Cowboys.
Well, first of all, your owner being asked if Dak was good enough or better than Jordan Love, and then dancing around that and not really getting to the point and kind of saying, well, I need to. He mentioned the Green Bay game, number one, about what we all saw in the Green Bay game, which wasn't, if you're measuring based on that, that wasn't good for Dak.
Jerry said, when I make comparisons, I get in trouble. So that's why he tried to.
Yeah, but I can clean it up. He's basically saying he was terrible against Green Bay, therefore, I'm not at this moment in time really excited about paying him that type of money that Tua and Jordan Love received. So we got to see him in this star do it.
He does.
That's what he said.
Exactly what he
That's
said.
exactly what he said. And you say, well, I'm trolling you a little bit. Yeah, because the pressure's on now. And if I am Dak Prescott, I'm not excited about getting a contract. I'm not excited. And the reason is, season's getting ready to start in a couple weeks. Regular season kicks off in September. A few weeks from now, I'm going to get some reps doing training camp and some reps in the preseason. But then I got 6 months to hit pay dirt. And there'll be a number of teams out there that's looking for a guy with my credentials. If my owner can't just endorse who I am and say, yeah, Dak Prescott is better than Jordan Love. I'd rather have Dak Prescott than Jordan Love. That's what the owner should have said. But he didn't say anything but word salad, and you have to kind of scramble through it and figure out exactly what he was saying, which I can, which is right now we're not thinking about it. Having a conversation about a contract is cool. We have conversations about contracts all the time. Doesn't mean that deal's going to get done. It's called talking. Oh, we ain't close. We're talking.
Yeah.
We're not close. By the time the season over, Paul, it's a decision that has to be made.
Yeah.
And that decision is going to be north of both of those quarterbacks by far. Now, whether it's with the Cowboys or another team, I can guarantee you, as I told you way back in September, when the season first started a year ago.
What if they don't make the playoffs, though?
Does not matter.
Somebody gonna give it to them?
Man, dude is good. I told Skip this a year ago. A year when I joined the show with Skip, and we was talking about this in September. Oh, he's young in terms of quarterbacks. Talked about this in September. I said, when this time come, y'all gonna be mad as hell. Y'all gonna be screaming, bloody murder, all of these things, because when he goes to another team, which he's probably going to do based on how y'all treating him, and not only y'all, there's other, and we're gonna get to it later on the show, but there's other Cowboy greats that are throwing shade toward Dak Prescott. Why would you stand for that? Why? So you telling me Tua and Jordan Love is better than Dak Prescott?
No,
there's not a chance right now.
Not right now. But but you got to understand, Key, they getting paid for what they can be, what they potentially can be.
And
you
what,
know what I'm saying?
And what is he gonna get paid for?
He getting paid for who he already is.
No.
You know what I'm saying?
His money gonna be in the future.
No, but like Dak is who he is, right? So when you see these guys like Tua, Lawrence, Barrow, and all these in Love, they getting these dollars because they potential. They're good, but they could potentially be better. Whereas Dak, he's finished product. You know, these cats, they in the oven already. You still throwing seasoning on them. You still basting them. Dak is already finished on the plate. You know who he is.
It's only one of the four that you mentioned that I would say, okay, and that's Joe Burrow, Skip.
Yeah.
That's the only
because
one
he's
of the four.
because he's won in the playoffs.
Yeah, Jordan Love beat them in the playoffs.
Look, they not getting paid off their playoff resume. Dak right now is not getting paid because he's not done in the playoffs. You know what I'm saying? They getting paid based on their futures. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get you.
That's why Dak ain't got the contract right
now. But
Dak
got a future too.
Yeah, Dak gonna have to go somewhere else to get that money.
If he do, I hope that they got.
Unless they make it to the NFC Championship or the Super Bowl, I don't think he's gonna be with the Dallas Cowboys. And so he got to go somewhere else.
And that may be true, and that will be Skip's loss.
My gain. I'm going to say this again about Dak Prescott. He's pretty good.
Yeah, he's really good.
That's damning with faint praise when you're a Dallas Cowboy fan. He's pretty good, and he'll always be pretty good until it's time to be very good, and he won't be. 2-5 in the postseason, stunk against Green Bay once again. In big games in the regular season, he notoriously stinks, as he did at San Francisco on that Sunday night when he threw 3 picks and they lost 42-10, and the handwriting was all over the locker room walls about this team. And let me start with Tua. Tua will not live up to that contract, even though his coach, his young coach, who's pretty good at offense, maybe he's going to turn out to be very good coach in offense. He got the most you can get out of a too short quarterback without much of an arm and without great mobility. That's what Tua is.
He get it done, though.
You know?
He found a way to get it done.
Well, when you got that receiving core and you get rid of the ball in 1.2 seconds.
Remember Doug Flutie?
Do I? But he's bigger than Doug Flutie is.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Doug Flutie was pretty nice.
But Tua's stout.
Yeah.
But Doug Flutie could move like Fran Tarkenton could move, if you remember Fran Tarkenton.
I don't remember Fran Tarkenton.
Okay, but the point was, Tua is not an escape artist at all. He has to let go of the football before anybody's even come out of their routes.
Yeah.
And if you throw it on time to the right spot, and one of your 2 track stars can run to the dime that you throw it to, it works. But I just don't think it will work enough for him to be anything but the Miami Dak. He'll turn into the Miami Dak, where you'll always be a little frustrated. You always want a little bit more. Jordan Love got a little bit more money than Tua did because he's already earned it to me. I've seen enough from Jordan Love. He will be worth every last penny. In fact, I think fairly quickly you'll decide that Jordan Love is underpaid at that price.
Whoa.
Underpaid. That's how good he is. He's got a little bit of Michael Jordan Love going on. I just love everything about his leadership, his arm, his charisma level on the field. He destroyed Dallas in that playoff game, and it was a sign of things
But the
to
measuring
come.
stick can't be against Dallas, Skip. You do that
well,
way
that's
too
fair.
much.
Okay, well, that's fair. But those are the games I obviously watched the closest. But I think he was pretty great in that game.
He
Wouldn't you
was.
say?
There's no question about
Yeah.
it. But when in comparing things to Dak Prescott, he's a veteran quarterback. Yes, his record in the postseason is not great. That's okay. In quarterback terms, he's still relatively young.
Yeah.
He's not at the end of his career.
No.
He's right in the middle of his career, his playoff career. We've seen quarterbacks in the history of the NFL go through this and then all of a sudden get on the other side and then they have a Hall of Fame career. We've watched it with our own eyes struggle in the playoffs and then all of a sudden it hits. Now, did they do a good job of surrounding him with players that can help him get over the hump? One would think so from a draft perspective and standpoint. One would think that
This
the Dallas
year
Cowboys, just in
or
general,
over time?
just over time.
Yeah, okay.
Many people would say that they've done a tremendous
Yeah,
job at
I
drafting.
agree with that. Yeah.
They have not done a tremendous job in free agency,
No.
though, other than Stephon Gilmore and stealing Brandon Cooks. That took Brandon Cooks a minute to get going
But they
inside the
actually,
offense.
those are draft choices that they traded for him. So,
they traded. I call it free agency, but they traded for him.
Yeah.
But, you know, they bamboozled those teams to get those
They did.
guys.
I agree.
And Stephon Gilmore is still on the streets when I think he should be a Dallas Cowboy, but that's just me.
Maybe he will be.
Maybe he will be in the next couple of days or so. When you talk about the contract, though, that number starts at $55 million. Let's not even have a conversation, okay? I can play it out.
No.
And if you want me to play it out, then that's on you, okay? Because you're telling me that all these other quarterbacks that Paul mentioned, you mentioned, they go to their owner and their general manager, and then their deals get done. I can't even come to you. I got to dance and play these games and have you at press conferences dance around my name and give these riddles and puzzle pieces that people got to try to figure out rather than just say, either I'm good
or I'm gone.
or I'm gone.
Yeah.
That's all you got to say.
Yeah.
Instead of this psychological
All right.
warfare that
Do
you're
you
dealing
remember
with.
what happened before he signed his last contract, Dak Prescott? Jerry waited and waited because he just wasn't sold on Dak. And he finally caved in and threw up his hands and said, okay, I give you what you want, and sat right down the desk from him at the press conference and said, you got me. And Jerry was basically admitting publicly, I paid way more than I wanted to pay for you.
Well, that's going to happen again if you're trying to keep him.
All right.
So these conversations are reported over the weekend that Dak Prescott and his representatives have been in contact with Jerry Jones as well as the other guys. That doesn't mean anything.
No.
That just means that you saw Tua deal and you saw Jordan Love's deal, so y'all decided to have a conversation.
Yeah.
So he won't be a Dallas Cowboy next season.
I don't, me personally, I probably don't believe that's going to happen unless they just decide.
So who gonna give him the money? Who got the money to give him that need a quarterback?
Man, I could go down a long list, laundry list. I can start with the Las Vegas Raiders.
Right. I could start
with
Raiders
David
too.
Tepper. If it doesn't work out with Bryce Young, they can
fit right
certainly
in with
look
the
and, you know, he'll spend the money. He'll break him and give him $500 million fully guaranteed. Okay? I can look at that. I can look at Seattle. I can look at New Orleans.
He gonna get the money, but it ain't gonna go. It ain't gonna come from
Aaron
Dallas.
Rodgers could call it quits. You know.
Aaron Rodgers could call it quits. They can New York, both New York teams, the Jets and the Giants. I mean, they're suitors. Look, man, he will not be without a job very long. The start of free agency starts. If he somehow gets to free agency, when the start of free agency starts at that midnight, somebody will be gassing up their G650 and bringing him in.
Yeah.
That's what'll happen.
Yep, and they'll get a pretty good quarterback. They will. If that's what you want, if you want pretty good, you can have him. And the only way he's going to be a Cowboy next year is if they get to the Super Bowl. I'm not saying they have to win it, but if he wins,
unless they cut the deal
NFC
right
Championship.
no, they're not going to.
NFC Championship not good enough.
No, you need to get to the Super Bowl. It would depend how the game played out. I'd have to see it and feel of it, but I'd say if you get to the Super Bowl, then then Jerry would just open the vault. Fort Knox would be his. Whatever you want.
But I don't even want to. I'm gone anyway.
Okay. Well, that'd be interesting because
I'll leave.
There's only one Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, I'll leave either way. That's just me, my
win a Super
personality.
Bowl,
I'm gone, man. I'm gone, man. I don't care about y'all. I'm gone.
There's no.
Y'all not gonna treat me this way throughout my 9-year career.
Yeah.
Treat me like I'm
So
nothing.
win a Super Bowl, you out.
You gonna treat me like I'm nothing? You are treating me as if I can't play this game. You've watched me for 8 years.
Right.
You've studied me. You drafted me. You groomed me. And I'm watching less players with less resumes, regardless of what years they're in.
They also a lot younger.
Doesn't matter.
But that's why Dak got paid. He got paid based on what his potential was